Hello. Well, you'll have to forgive me because we have several firsts here, if you will. So, several new things. First of all, you have to let me know whether my microphone is good and whether the sound is good, whether you can hear me well, because the microphone is in a bit of a different position than usual. That's first of all. I think you should be able to see the screen properly. Hello to everybody. Olimiu, Leo, Johnny, Mike, Leo, Danny, Thomas, Johnny again, Thomas, hello, hi to everybody. Leo, Mike, I see. All right, so hello to everybody. So we have a first here. We have a ugly face reveal. Now, I don't know if that works well on your side. I would only hope it does. That's it. Let me know if the sound is good. Like I said, let me check the chat whether the sound is good. Mike is a little bit quiet than usual. Alrighty, well, let me see if I can sort this one out. Can I do anything about it? No, I don't think I can do anything about it other than maybe this-ish. It's gonna be a little bit pervasive like this. Is this better? Is this any better? I can flip it upside down. I'm gonna have it the other way around. You tell me if that sounds good, but it's gonna be really in the way. Ugh. All right. I hope that should be better. That should be allowing you guys to hear me a lot better and still see my ugliest face. I'm already probably gonna have trouble with that. Yes, is that's better? I'm assuming you guys are saying that's better. All right. Well, like I said, a lot of firsts, a lot of improvised stuff here, so let's hope it'll work. Okay, let's get into this. Anywho, not much of an exciting day, and I think I'm suspecting this is how it's going to look all the way until Nvidia comes out with the earnings report. We all know we can have a bit of a crazy reaction of the market. We will now take a look at Nvidia as a thing we'll do, of course. We'll have to take a look before the earnings starts, how things are indicating and how they will end up looking like, right? That's going to be what we're really going to be looking at. I guess let's just dive into this. Of course, the reminder, we're going to be doing a live looking at watching Nvidia's earnings, watching the market, kind of everything at the same time. So get ready for that. So that means this live is not going to be all that too long, and we're then going to end up watching together the earnings call. So this is just kind of going to be something in between. You're going to have some time before the market closes and before the call starts. So let's get into this. S&P, I mean, we were going to look at S&P. That's the most interesting bit we have right now. That's sort of the guidance of the market. But really, all in all, I mean, guys, let's be honest with this. This is rather flat and really didn't have anything crazy today. So still staying within the range of 58.84. But let's just kind of skip ahead and see what the market shows with regards to how the things can play out later throughout the day. Oh, pardon me, my bad. Let me zoom in on this beauty. Alrighty, perfect. So well, as you can see, this is a clear indication of a continuation to the downside. Asking ourselves how low can we go with this? We can actually go to 58, 50, 58, 55 kind of, right? That is the nearest range, and we've already been testing it at least once. We've tested that particular range. The problem is it is on a beginning. Basically, it is the cusp, the threshold, if you will, of this larger gap, and coincidentally passing right here below we have this support, right? So what we think is we might see a breakdown of the price action below this, right? Looking at 45 minutes, we'll see how 1 hour looks like, and if it looks like this, it brings up the potential that's going to be far longer, basically stronger, quicker even maybe, and we might end up testing the bottom of this range right here, right? Don't forget we're kind of in a junction, right? We have various forces that affecting the price action right now. Let's move this nonsense. All right, now let's switch to the 1 hourly and see what we can see. So hourly actually shows, just like I suspected, that we had a bit of a cool down, but nothing all that crazy, and the market will probably go through another convergence, divergence of the forces, resulting in the continuation of the price action going to the downside, which, as you can imagine, means more downwards price action, confirming the potential of the test of that support that we just looked at right here. So we're not going to be all that surprised, right? Which kind of reaffirmed by seeing this 1 hourly. Okay, we're kind of seeing potential hints that exact outcome. Again, not really certain. Well, now we're looking at, pardon me, now that we're looking at the 4 hours, it actually sort of shows even further more that if the price action will break down and will not succeed breaking above that 20 point, what we will see is a continuation and a breakdown of the price action to the downside, right? So with that, again, more confirmation or reaffirmation of what we've seen on the smaller time frames. Thank you. What are we seeing on the smaller time frame, on the larger time frame, sorry. On the larger time frames, what we're actually seeing here, well, again, it is sort of sketchy because it is doing here this, where the convergence of the forces, they're going for a crossover again. What are we seeing on our weekly? Well, also somewhat sketchy, is not too indicative of what we can expect. Monthly still looks the same way, right? No new surprises. So let's try to discern what is the daily really telling us. The daily can actually mean that we're going, again, for a convergence of the forces here, right? That we're actually going bullish right now and going to maybe start correcting to the upside, potentially this temporary movement continuing to the downside, right? Basically a switch over, then another switch over. Why does that matter? Why are we even looking at this convergence of the forces? When we have the K go dominant, this green line, when it becomes dominant, right, that represents the bullish momentum, which is what is stronger. When it is dominant, this is what we can see is more of a bullish price action, right? Opposite, opposite, makes sense, hand in hand. So if we're going to seeing a convergence of the forces again, and the K become dominant, basically, this green line become the top line, right? Basically, these forces cross over. We have this green line being the top, the dominant force. That will indicate that we can actually switch over and go back to the 6,000. As I've said, closing that wonderful gap, which honestly, I'd be tremendously happy if we'd actually close it. If we're looking at 30 minutes, for example, if we switch back, can we really confirm that we are still seeing that bullish momentum? Yes, we can. If we're looking at 45 minutes, does this switch over look more bearish or more bullish at the current time? Oh, actually just switched over, right? Or readjusted, basically. Looks as if we're moving towards convergence right here. And as if we're moving towards convergence, potentially what we will see is another pickup of the bullish momentum, or maybe a longer dragging out of this process towards the downside, resulting in more of this sideways price action. But should we rely on this price action? Well, let's look at how the market could potentially react to NVIDIA's earnings today. I was not kidding when I posted downwards 39%. Can it actually do that? Well, in my opinion, my humble opinion, yes, it can. Let's look at the current supports and resistances. First of all, we know we have the $150 above us, we have the 140 below us, but those are short term, near range, basically. We know the market can be very impulsive and very emotional, if you will, rather. The reaction to it can be very emotional, right? So we should probably assess for further supports and resistances, because it can actually go worse than just the near term sort of ranges. What are we looking at then? We're looking at $110 potentially, or sorry, $118. First of all, we have that range of 118 and 115. Okay, that's a range we have. We've already seen it being tested multiple times. Here it is, just to kind of show off. Those who've been on the lives know. What else do we have on the top end? On the top end, we have, of course, 200. Do we have anything in between? Yes, we actually have another strong resistance that resides around the 180-ish. Will not be revealing it right now. It says, but I assure you it's around 180. It's a form of a golden pocket, if you will. Pardon me, give me a second. I have something bothering me. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so how can NVIDIA play out? According to this channel, what we might have is the testing of this 118, okay, which is coincidentally when we have the meeting of the forces, right, where we have these supports and resistances already seen, and coincidentally our longer duration trend channel, if you will, just to keep it straight, a channel, right? What are we seeing on the top side? In fact, already on the top side, we've already seen how we've tested the $150. Yes, there could be potential that we're finally able to break out, of course, on that behavior, and the current resistance that is strong enough and on the outer edge of the channels that we're testing right now actually resides around 160. 159, call it 160, I might as well just call it 160, okay? So these are the sort of shorter term range that could be tested and stopping us before we actually break out. We could be breaking out even further, like I said, testing that 180 area and then maybe potentially breaking back down to the top of the channel. So let's sort of test these theories. Let's see what does the momentum really tell us and how does it really look like, what could be the actual outcome, right? Currently the price action is testing, you might as well call it basically this wedge. We've seen this price action before many times, so not all that surprising if we're going to see the price action testing the support and resistance as we go, right? Let's look at the chat, what's going on. Let's hope I didn't miss anything tremendously important. I'm sorry, I'm trying to sort of juggle everything all together this time around. It's a little bit more confusing than usual, but I hope it's all working so far. Yes, we said the sound is good. No, perfect. Hit the like. Yeah, absolutely. Hit the like to support the channel. Another important thing, if I can throw out there before I completely forget, what is that? That is. Where is that? It is this little bit. Yeah, it should work. I think now you should be able to see on the screen the Patreon address. Sign up, $10 a month. It is gonna be probably limited somewhat sometime soon, where I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna work the plan with it. Maybe I'm gonna close it before the end of the year, and only those who will be grandfathered in, basically the OGs, if you will, of the community at $10 a month, and all the other people who will subscribe in the future will be at a higher costing tier. Just letting you know. Okay, before I forget to remove that off the screen. Plug done, and we're back to normal. Alrighty. Now we're back to chat. Let's see, I'm not missing anything. Remind us all, please, before the ticker request. Yeah, absolutely, star before the ticker request. But we're going to try and focus right now on what NVIDIA does. Then we're going to look at our regular culprits, you know, the Palantir, maybe Tesla, the regular culprits, and then we'll get to maybe we'll have some time left for other tickers, but today is NVIDIA focus, right? Maybe I should have noted that today is NVIDIA focused. Let's try and see now what we can see on the larger time frames, and sort of, actually, maybe I should have kept these just so we remember what my assessment was. Yeah, we probably don't want to keep these. Now let's see. The market currently is positioned in such a way on the weekly that we're basically already in the overbought territory, right? So we're having a lot of that bullish momentum, but we can overturn very quickly and start correcting to the downside, right? We know that not a straightforward action, but the fact that we're already squeezing that bullish momentum on the weekly can actually imply that the market will be using this opportunity to correct all the way down, right? Which brings us easily from where we are right now to that range of 118, Remember, we have a strong support right here at 118. I marked it earlier. Here it is. Coincidentally coincides with with the way the upwards channel's bottom right now sits. But I would argue that this is too close for comfort, and we also have coincidentally that very strong support based upon a Fibonacci retracement of the previous cycle. So that 110 of the 110.67, right? So that would be our S2. That will be our S2 potentially. We said it's going to be our S1. So 110.67 is that, and what we have as S3 will be currently this $100, right? So basically what we assess that through the more sort of steep price action, we might end up residing on 100. Maybe the price action is completely excessive, and this is where the 39% correction comes in. We have that 91.68 and 87.04. Okay, just to give you an idea, just from where we are right now, give or take, looking downwards, we're looking at about, you see, 39%. So potentially we're looking at a correction of 39% at the current time. Potentially. Okay, just to keep it straight. And this is what we're seeing right here on the weekly. Are we seeing something similar on the monthly? Well, on the monthly, we're actually at face value, we are bullish. Look at that, we're actually bullish, right? But this can overturn very, very quickly. Don't forget, we've been squeezing that bullish momentum for quite a while, and if the market decides that it's time to actually correct and we've been overpriced, guess what? We have all that space, all that room, and I will argue that within the sort of 8-day period, can we overturn this candlestick completely and end up closing it with a tiny wick, what would look like, and a very long body that will last all the way to 91.86, 87-ish range. I will just simply remind you of that candlestick. And yes, the market can behave very, very irrationally, very, very quickly, right? Just show you what happened, for example, on the previous earnings. I will argue that we actually have a couple of gaps to close around this area, so I'm not going to be surprised if we end up doing that. I wonder if we can see them this way. I wonder if we can see them this way. Not that well. Not that well. Let's see, how deep do I need to go to show you there are some gaps right there? Well, this is going to be a bit problematic. On the hourly, you'll have to figure out that some of these are still open, because as you can see, they are within the pre and post market, and thus we still have some leftover gaps right there. I think somewhere around here we have, basically this is a gap left over, and here I don't think we have one. Let's see if I can squeeze even deeper. I can show you how we have a couple of gaps to close around that area. Sorry, I went too far. Should be around that area. All right, I think that should be easier to show. We've never closed these gaps again, right? Since we've tested these regions, right? You can see, right? So you can see we have basically a gap that will formulate. Actually, why am I struggling with this? It's going to be a lot more simpler if I'll do this. Pardon me, just because I'm trying to juggle everything and remind myself not to, All right. So no, this gap was closed, right? We still have, let's see, we have this one, which is around 120 on our way down, right? Have this tiny leftover of a gap, I remember, right? So we have this one. Here we have something, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's not that. No, I am mistaken, apparently. This one, the $100 one, we can argue that this one was closed. So here it is. We have that one closed. And now finally, here it is, the bottom gap. We have that sitting actually below, and we have this one, and that's it. I think that's it. Those are the several gaps that we sort of have left over to close, right? From afar. I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on a couple here, but that's what you have. So I'd argue the market, when finding itself within these regions, it's going to be very, very likely for us to see, again, if we're at 91.87, we're clearly going to close this gap. This sort of drags us to the bottom, but the question becomes whether we'll be able to drag it out from here, from that 65.10 retracement and 61.80% retracement all the way to around 50, as we said, closing this gap, right? That is it. That's the gaps we have to close. Let's look at the chart that I'm not missing on anything. Actually, let's clean all that stuff up just so we're gonna have a cleaner chart. And let's look at the chat that I'm not missing on anything. Casey, howdy, good to see you. Yes, Danny, good to see you guys. And reminder who said, one of the best things I got from this channel is the mental clarity. You think it's been volatile day, then Greg zoomed out and it's nothing had happened. Right? No, it's all in relative terms. We all perceive these things in a very different way. The way somebody who is very, very sensitive to these everyday sort of behaviors of the price action, sure, will feel as if it's a big story, but again, the more accustomed you become to this, it becomes just everyday stuff. I mean, sorry, it is what it is. Let's look at what we can see about Nvidia as well. More so, let's look at the longer time frame. We haven't given this a look in a long while. Actually, it seems, based upon, for example, looking at the longer time frame, we can actually look, and it appears to be as if we have a lot more to go. I mean, potentially being in overbought territory, actually amplifying, and it doesn't seem like we're squeezing anytime soon. In fact, it seems like we're pretty much free to go and have plenty of momentum. The more this, the more these two forces will appear as if they are diverged, or rather have that distance between them, move in parallel, the better it is for the bulls. Basically, the more it implies that you have more to go. It's only when they start moving towards each other, converging, right? When you see the forces basically converge towards each other, this is when it becomes more evident that the momentum is slowing down and subsequently potentially actually reversing, right? When you have sort of the forces go this way, right? That actually is rather positive. Let's see in the 6 months. Yeah, I see. It's a fool's errand, basically. It misleads you to believe as if we're still moving in a bullish pattern, but really we're getting. I see. The price action fools or rather forces the two forces to appear as if we're moving towards a cool down. In reality, we have squeezed out a ginormous candlestick that will obviously require a correction, even if partial. I would argue that on the entire move, we can maybe potentially see the retracement of the 50% in the shorter term range. But remember, and that's very, very, very important. If we do retrace to the 50%, it doesn't mean that from here on out we just continue going downside. No. The price action doesn't work this way. If anything, it's far more likely for us to correct then again back to the 91.68, 87.04, right? These two, basically this, don't look at them as a single line support or resistance. Look at them as a range. This range is, I would argue, will appear in our sights many more times. And I would argue that first, if we will see actually a breakdown to the 50% retracement level, which is like what we said, it's 70. Just call it 70, right? If we retrace back to the 70 area, then I would argue that this ceiling will be retested again. In fact, probably a couple of times before we're actually free to go. And by then, well, we'll see. That thing can take years. This is not a joke. This thing can take just retesting this area back and forth. Of course, as we're looking at this on the 12-month chart, it will appear as individual candlesticks, but it actually will look like a deeper correction, retest, and only then maybe potentially breakout if conditions by then will be positive, meaning we already went for a full retest and confirmed upside. How long can it take? Well, again, I wouldn't look at this based upon the angle that this is pointing towards. Why? Because the angles can change and adjust, and this can become a lot steeper very, very quickly, right? All right. Okay. my reps are not that awesome like Patrick Boyle's. I know, I get it. I'm trying to be concise, but it's difficult. Okay, let's go back to the chat, see if I can answer some questions. Greg's TA is very grounding. Thank you, Mama. I appreciate it. That's, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what it's supposed to do. We're removing all biases and we're trying to apply what we would consider for this first principle thinking, right? Relying basically only on the signs that the market itself is showing us regarding its own self, right? We're basically not saying what we think about the market. We ask the market, what does the market think about itself, if anything? And that's, I guess, why it keeps us grounded, because we're not speculating nor guessing. We're just relying on what the market shows. Pretty simple approach. I mean, we do kind of sometimes throw some guesses up in the air, but we try to keep it within the framework of what the market is showing, if you think about it. So we are guesstimating. No, we're not guessing, we're guesstimating, if anything. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Danny. We could have. This is another reason why Tom and I try to tell people to avoid getting in positions before the earnings, because the earnings can play out in such a volatile way in both directions and end up actually backfiring and correcting. And then don't forget, most of this stuff that's going to happen is going to happen in post market, right? So it's going to create, more probably than not, we're going to end up with a big gap. We know how gaps work around the market, how unhappy the market is with gaps, and oftentimes fills them in one way or another. So even if we go downward significantly, for somebody like myself, which will of course drown the market further, but am I happy about that? No. It just means that we'll have to correct back up, right? Let's imagine, for in this hypothetical scenario, right, the market closes right now, this very second, and then the market collapses, and then supposedly making Greg happy, the market looks worse the very next day. In the long run, it is a sign. Actually, what we will end up in such a scenario, what more likely is that even when the market will correct back up to these similar levels, Nvidia, rather, the market will not necessarily fill in its own individual gap, right? In fact, we have that chart. Let's add Nvidia to it, right? Let's add Nvidia and see where it is in proportion to everything, just to have an idea. Let's readjust everything and refocus. But Jesus, that's going to be difficult. Let's look at this. Let's see where everything falls. Come on, internet. And I'm bragging that everything works real well. Yep. All right, so we said Nvidia, Tesla. Where's that? Nvidia is the purple one. Let's make Nvidia. Which one are you? That's you, Nvidia. Let's make it green, right? Let's just make it green for the sake of seeing clearly. Let's make it stand out like that. Boom, done. Readjust everything so everything is rebalanced. So we're not cheating. Yeah, everything is in line. You can see how beautifully Nvidia basically worked its way. Plus what we're seeing, it's probably the split, inevitability, the structure of the overall chart sort of squeezed. So for us to see Nvidia, which again, then it will not make any sense because this is in line with the current location, but for us to sort of see how it falls in line and how this has the same pattern of behavior, you can see that rally that doesn't make sense and appears to be very, very flat. Here it is on Nvidia. It is hidden. Why? Because of the split. It squeezes the price action and makes it appear as if it is far lower than what really was. And when in reality, this wave wasn't tiny at all. Remember, huge split, right? 1 to 10. So yeah, I mean, multiply this by 10 pretty much to keep it down to earth. Alrighty. Again, in comparison, they're moving in tandem. Let's try and sort of look deeper, right? Let's see what we get when we go to the deeper time frame. Oh yeah, you can see that, right? I don't really have I don't really have to point out what's going on here. I'm sorry, I'm having something itchy in my nose. Alrighty. Yeah, you can obviously see how the price action of all these four moving in tandem, not a big surprise. So like I said, if we're going to have a drop on NVIDIA, it will drag down the overall market, and that's going to be surprising. In fact, we might see a sell-off of the overall index, not just NVIDIA, subsequently resulting in the gigantic gap, just like we described here. Remember, that was the whole idea here, and then the market will have to correct. And so I'm not going to be happy with that. That this is just a chore. It's something we'll have to fill in, resulting in the price action moving upwards on all grand scheme of things. Of course, maybe potentially involving Palantir in this whole thing, bringing it higher temporarily, right? Because we still have the ginormous gaps. Nothing really changed. I mean, even if we're going to have a rally based upon NVIDIA individually, it will still have to correct. So you see, that correction will cost us a lot on all other fronts. It's almost, and hilariously enough, NVIDIA will not bear the brunt of the pain, if you will. NVIDIA will simply drop a little bit and correct. That's all it will end up being, right? So NVIDIA can create a lot of unpleasantness that is just completely unnecessary, really. I mean, honestly, with this very volatile price action. So yeah, I mean, we know a beat can drag it all over the place. No surprise, we're seeing the VIX go bananas, right? VIX still remaining rather high without closing its gaps. We know we still have a gap right here. Remember, the pre and post market, well, in this case, it's pre-market, which you see is really what matters, is where we get these gaps, right? And still have a hole, and we all know the VIX doesn't like to have holes at all, and usually fills them in. And that's it? No, I'm pretty sure. Well, that's the lowest one. I mean, yeah, we did it in 14, so yeah, that's the lowest one we're gonna have, obviously. Sure. But I do remember we had a couple of other ones. Maybe we've already closed. No, we're gonna end. Well, this is still a gap, right? From here to here. So you still have this sort of thing going on left over right there. So we still have a gap right there. Almost forgot about that one. Where we were. Yeah, so NVIDIA can actually drag down everything with it, and it's not going to be great. And yeah, Tom and I recommend not playing these because of this volatility. In the end of the day, if you do not capitalize on it the right way, you just end up being stuck in the market, holding somebody's bags, especially if you're a trader. If you're a long-term investor, none of this matters to you. You should probably loading up and not thinking about it too much. But again, not financial advice. You do you. Where we were. Right, the link to join the Patreon. Those who are not yet on Patreon, don't get disappointed if one wonderful day, you know, the Patreon tier that is $10 is going to be locked, and then, you know, it's just going to be locked and gone. It's not going to be locked and in your eyes, it's just going to be gone. Of course, those who have signed up at $10, and that will stay $10 for life as long as they stay in that tier. Put in my limit order for $91. Oh, right, Leo. 91, I mean, based upon your threshold of, you know, well, your pain threshold, okay, or your risk tolerance, you don't necessarily, 91 shouldn't necessarily be the best place, but we can discuss this on the Discord. Again, it's individual, to each their own. Like the like. I absolutely agree. Like the like. Like the liking. Liking the liking is very important. By daily RSI, NVIDIA is looking bullish. All right, Murat. Let's see if you're right. Let's look at the daily. Let's look at the daily. On the stochastic, I would argue that it looks neutral. It doesn't look bullish as much as it appears to say that it's going to and wants to test this entire gigantic junction, whether it's this 140 range or whether it's this the junction of these two supports and resistances that are created based upon our channel. So I don't know, is it really bullish? I mean, on the daily, I mean, it's just neutral at best, because you're going to basically have a cool off on a downtrend, resulting a crossover probably, and still a continuation to the downside. Usually the market tends to complete whatever it is doing. It tends to, if you noticed over time. Привет, Murat. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Hello. 1% is NVIDIA. Well, that's up to you, brother. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Good luck. Did I invest in no, I invest in NVIDIA. I used to hold NVIDIA. No, I'm not currently holding any NVIDIA. The only two positions I have right now are SQQQ and a bit of plug. And I probably need to buy more plug. I've been postponing this forever. Johnny, this is still very surface level. There's a lot more to say about NVIDIA. There are plenty of tools. First of all, that most of you are not familiar with, and it will take me hours on end just trying to explain and get everybody on the same line, sort of the same benchmark, right? So we can all read the same tool. This is a very simple tool to read it, and we pretty much read whatever it's telling us, in the recent reading, if you will, in the most relevant, most up-to-date sort of stuff, but it comes within some sort of context, and most people are not familiar nor able to read the context out of this. This indicator is far too linear and results with the inability to separate how the trends, how the cycles actually work, and yeah, it doesn't really serve the function all that perfectly, and there are plenty of far more advanced tools that will result in, pardon me, far greater, more accurate analysis. Made than never. Hope you're. Hey, Chobi, what's up? I'm well. Yeah, I'm absolutely. I'm fine. I'm just having a blast. Hanging out with the group here. We're just watching Nvidia and the market as it plays out, as we're getting inching closer towards the market close. I will take a little bit of a break. These will be two separate calls, basically. We're going to have this call, right? We're going to end this soon. We're going to have a bit of a break. Market will close, and we'll get back on another live watching NVIDIA's earnings, which will take some time. I think, what are we, when the earnings start? We should have normally we get the report within about, oh shit, pardon me for that noise. I forgot to turn off that sound, I guess. We usually have it within like 30-40 minutes post-market close-ish, hour maybe, and the earnings subsequently start as such. I'm so sorry for the noise. I am so sorry. Should have taken care of that earlier, and I completely forgot. Alrighty. So let's do tickers, questions, and other fun stuff, because we still have time. Why not? Yeah, all of the market, Murat. I mean, looking at the QQQ, right? You might as well look at the S&P. You might as well look at the NDQ and the X. It's all the same right now. You roughly have that, what appears to be, very, not a very narrow range. Very narrow if you zoom out, but it's kind of boring. Alrighty, thank you for informing me, Mama. I was really worried. That's like super noisy. Um, yeah, the market is rather boring. I mean, it is. There's really not much to say about the price action as is. Let's see. What is Tesla telling us? Is Tesla telling anything interesting? I keep on forgetting to remove my ugly drawings from the charts. I'm so sorry. I shaved my nose hairs and they're annoying me. Yeah, that was a mistake. Let's go back. All right. Just trying to remove as many of these drawings, not to confuse with what's really important. Important. Alrighty, so cool beans. So let's look at what we're doing right now. 339, obviously that is residing at 328.32. ginormous gap to close. We said, let's look at the 1 hour. I'm curious. Actually, let's make my life let's a little bit easier like that. And yeah, we obviously immediately see this gap. Immediately we see this this gap. Come on, stop being annoying. Why is that here? Stop. Okay, there we go. Problem solved. We have this wonderful gap and we have this wonderful gap, I see. So we have 3 gaps to close. Oh, right. And then we have this gap. I almost forgot about you. Almost. And we have this beauty. Moving us all the way to 213. So you look at that and you tell me this is sustainable, normal, with your familiarity with gaps. Just saying. I mean, just looking at gaps. Purely from a gap standpoint, right? That looks horrible. That looks like Swiss cheese, boys and girls. Alrighty. Oh, we finally have a ticker right there. ACHR. You want to do ACHR. What is that? That is important stuff I cannot use. I'm sorry. We need to remove that. We need to remove that. We need to remove that. ACHR. Alrighty. Oh, right. The Archer Aviation thing. We've just looked at them several times recently. Alrighty, let's do that. Why not? Don't overload, boys and girls, otherwise we're not going to be able to make it through all of them. Beautiful. So we reached out. We didn't really have enough momentum to get here. So you didn't really test that. You obviously failed here and we were pushed back in. I would argue that sooner or later we're going to retest this. And then we're going to end up breaking off of it, continuing this thing, which completely makes sense, right? That's part of the process, sort of internally. If we're going to look at this, what's going on is the forces. We're running out. Basically, you ran out of fuel midair and now you're crashing to the ground. Your engine was able to restart temporarily. You're gonna kind of, glide a little bit and then continue your drop, your descent, if you will. Oop, my bad, forgot. Right, there we go. Perfect. So, and that descent will obviously take you all the way back to this retesting, and maybe even potentially actually to your median, which seems to be very, 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 very strong with this one. The force is strong with the median, always. All right, you're probably gonna do some like a head and shoulders here. I'm not gonna be surprised because you already made ta 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 ta. Harmonics, magic. Harmonics are everywhere. Bam! I hope I was able to help you with this one. In fact, I accidentally drew it here as well. Right, you're gonna kind of, yeah. MRVL. Oop, sorry. MRVL. Let's do Marvel. Johnny Lurila. Let us do. What is this? Johnny, are you in this already? Just out of curiosity. Oh. Johnny, you see this? This is not good. This is the same sort of narrative. Very, 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 very similar. Very similar, in fact. I mean, you can see this. I don't even have to point. My God. My God, what is this? It was not planned. Like that, like this. Good. I mean, you can see it. Bam, 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 bam. Right, right, right. We're already seeing. Well, no, that's. I mean, short term. Yeah, that stuff. is I exaggerated. I kind of took it out of proportion. I'm sorry. That stuff, right? I really took it out of proportion. Don't go that way. Yeah. At least that. Then we can talk, right? Now this is a lot more realistic than what I drew here. This is just me going bananas, but you get the idea. I'm trying to when I draw these sort of very sketchy thingies that are just kind of weird. Yeah, it's this, but in a lazy form. Sorry. Not all that different. I mean, they're kind of showing the same thing. This is your temporary correction here. Retest of that obviously makes sense. So, like I said, not straightforward. Retest makes it way. You have your what will be the bottom of this. Retest, make a shoulder. Bam, 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 bam. And you actually have a larger structure right here. Yeah, you got the idea. Harmonics are hidden inside. Ooh, voodoo magic. Mr. This, well, yeah, you separated, gotcha. Decided to cut 50% of all positions. Crazy returns. 499 is a milestone. Gotcha. Let's. You want us to look at this, Mamba? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're saying with this. RX. We're just gonna go to that one. I guess one. Hey, next level. Thank you for joining. Let's do your thing. RX. Hmm. No data? No data, of course. Yeah, no data. I mean, this is rather obvious. You're moving in this very obvious channel. That's slightly excessive because, well, you got this end a lot more excessive, so it ended up being further when where it truly is. Your support is somewhere in the middle here, actually. So that's kind of like iffy. So your range is it's as if your range is a bit off instead of just being uh how should I do this? There are ways. It's more it's more like this sort of thing, and it is actual. This is balloony. Balloony. No, that's ugly. I mean, but that is it. I'm probably assuming that I'm correct about this. Ugh, sketchy, but huh, like several external supports there. Come on, what are you doing? Balance me. Sketchy, but that's where it is, where you see the support, the attempt and the failure, the attempt. Let's go, let's go deeper. I think 30 minutes is gonna be the deepest one I'm gonna get. Sketchy, but probably kind of. Am I far? Too far? No, here it is. I think I actually got it. I think I actually got it, give or take, with a slight discrepancy, maybe. So that's what you're doing on a larger range. And if you notice what you're doing back and forth, right, generally speaking, is up, down, even with this with the deviations, with slippages, if you will, or excessive momentum that is holding you back on the top ends through this channel. So let's go to where we are right now. You're actually in the lower end. So it implies that you're sooner or later gonna start moving up, but where are you on the process? It seems you're still moving downwards. So, so. When is that gradual process we think will start for you? Well, like we said, you're still testing lows, and again, you can see how the market can behave around the support. So it's there, but you can have a lot of slippage on it. So I guess look out for on your monthly finding your oversold territory, which will then result with you testing lower, probably somewhere there internally. Let's see, ish, whatever it can be, if I can find it at all. Yeah, that's sketchy. Not bad. Even I'm impressed to a certain extent. It's iffy. It's really inaccurate, so it's gonna be iffy. I really tried to do my best, but you can see it's maybe an inch up, an inch down. So all in all, RXRX probably bottoming. We'll be testing some more bottom and eventually very shortly, especially having all these wedges formulating. So it's not going to be surprising if we're going to test some of them things right here, moving into the shallow end, which is 5-ish area. Call it 550. And at 550, you're probably going to start to see a pickup, slowly testing your various levels that you will have. Moving again towards, where's that? Ugh, where's that top? Slowly picking up your momentum, over time, blah, blah, blah. Unless you have really good results earlier on, and it will not be that gradual, prolonged to oblivion, basically, like that, right? Because as you see, that's how the cycles tend to behave around this thing, right? And they're very wide, and they'll probably grow as we're gonna go further with time. So that's that. ANET and CRM. Let's do ANET and CRM. ANET and ZRM. So it's postponing the inevitable. What it's postponing is the retest lower. So this is it, the dragging out of this process, which results in you going to that bottom right here, maybe slipping out a little bit. Not that abnormal, pretty standard stuff right there. But resulting, so weekly is actually indicating that you really want to test your lows here, right? 350. I'm gonna call it to keep it neat. Absolutely. Falls in line with your what? 350? Does it give you 350? Even lower. 344, gradually 350. How gradually? What, here? Given it enough time. That's your ANET move in the near-term future. And it already started pretty clearly. 8 days. Close the month. There's no way running. There's no running away from this. That's going to be just the first step in a long succession of downwards price action. But yeah, you're going to first test this, whether it's going to be this way or just this way. Whether it's going to be, to be clear, like that, right? Or like that. It doesn't matter. What you're clearly going to be doing is testing lower, eventually giving you 300. 300. Giving you 300. With all that momentum, I'm going to be surprised if you're not going to test it. I hope you guys are not surprised that there's so much indication for downwards price action. Sorry. Oh yeah. Market obviously respects and cares about that time, although I'm off by like 3 inches. Greg, which proxy Bitcoin shares you can suggest to me? None of them. I don't like Bitcoin. I'm not a fan of the current existence of cryptocurrencies and the way the structure of the crypto market right now. I'm not a fan. What is that? I'm sorry that the screen makes everything tiny because it's in portrait mode. Okay. We still need to do CRM. I haven't done CRM. Also gold. I think. I think we're gonna do CRM and we're gonna end at CRM. Oh. I think we're gonna do CRM and end on CRM simply because time is running out. We have a lot of stuff to do. And I will get to gold tomorrow, although there's not a lot to say about gold other than it's still following my expected path. Right now we're slightly out of bounds, but we're still gonna make it here. Bam, bam. That's contradictive. Yay, good for me. But here's our bigger picture, right? Going down, still going down. We're still going down. This is gonna be our thing now. Before we either down, either up, we'll see. But still, this is gonna be our thing. This wedgie. You get it. Why are you so... Change you. Okay. And CRM, we said CRM. Let's do CRM real quick just so we can finalize this, and we're gonna continue to NVIDIA's earnings call on the next live. It's gonna start within like 40 minutes ish. No data? Data? Ooh, you're screwed. Does that tell you what CRM do? In my opinion, cool off, continuation downwards. You are obviously going to retest with this. I wonder what the channel is. What is that? What is that? What is that? Is that late? Is that, what is that? The late bloomer right there? Yes, it is. This is your fib channel that you need to know. $521 to $325. I know it sounds crazy, but that's the core. Can dislike it, but it works like magic. You see? Which means you're now in a wedge. Matter of question of time of until you test and down. Which then gives you this. I'm out of frame. I'm being lazy. I'm sorry. I'm sitting like a bum. Just the mic is stuck in my face. It's problematic. And there's a lot of stuff reporting to them, sure. No, Mike, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to do this on the next one. We really have to adjourn this one because I really have not a lot of time left, and you guys need to do some stuff probably as well. Get back. I mean, join the next one. Join the next one. Again, reminding you boys and girls, sign up to the Patreon because otherwise it's gonna get closed sooner or later. And people who didn't join the Patreon at the $10 level will have to join at higher tiers. The Discord is 100% private, so only Patreon members will have access. Those who wonder, that's what it looks like. Here it is. We have the $10 tier, which is the plan was to limit it to 1,000 members, but I'm thinking I might actually close it sooner than expected. Like I said, maybe at the end of the year. People don't seem to hurry to taking that tier. We do have a lot of the academy. Those who are academy members, of course, are not taking these tiers. Although I have seen some members contribute. Don't join this. Please do not join this. I will refund you and kick you out of this right now. Okay, for now. Not join this tier, but make sure you do join the $10 tier. Otherwise, when it's going to be gone, it's going to be gone. And completely, you'll not be able to join it. That is that. What other announcements? Maybe I should brag and show off my beautiful Discord. My beautiful Discord. Wait, I'm gonna hide the members, not to dox them. See, this is my beautiful Discord, which is actually very similar to Tom's. I've built this, of course. We have our must watch, which highly recommended. Plenty of good videos. Boys and girls, those who are on the Discord, watch all of them. Great videos. The academy is in the works. Of course, we have the meme section. You know, you must have one. Open chat where you can discuss whatever you want. Symposium, a little bit more idea oriented. More of a, I wouldn't say manosphere, but kind of a red pill stuff, talking about today's women, if you will. Jukebox, which is fun because you have a bunch of music. Of course, the regular topics, you know, if you have, which we are gonna make the tickers, already started with Nike here, people were asking. Of course, the regular news section, and we're gonna add newer stuff, and when I announce when I go live, and other, here we're gonna also, here is where we have the community hangouts and all that beautiful stuff. Okay, join in, don't miss out. Enough for plugs for today. All right, we're gonna adjourn this meeting, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for showing up, boys and girls. I'm sorry we had to cut this one short. It's just I do need to take a little break and get ready for the NVIDIA watch party and all that wonderful stuff. And by the way, for future reference, a lot of these events will be conducted even if for public and for like basically for everyone, or everybody can join. At some point, we're gonna move over in having these community only events. So make sure you're part of the community before we get to that point. I guess that's it. I don't remember anything else I wanted to say about today. And that's it, boys and girls. This is where we're closing this meeting on at 5,913. Quite a tame day. We didn't get to close the gap that I really wanted us to close and get rid of. I believe we might see that shortly. Don't forget, if we close the market and then the market rallies like crazy and we open up above, it's just gonna suck. If that's the way we make it to 6,000, but then, because then we're again stuck, pardon me, with having the market correct. If it opens up a gap this way, right, we're gonna have to move all this way to correct it, subsequently closing this, but again, waste of time. Allowing the institutions to get rid of assets at the higher prices, and everybody's, oh, buy the dip, yeah, you know, FOMO, ah. You know what the result of this nonsense is. All right, boys and girls, was a great one. See you on the next one. See you on the thingy. Many other messages to come. Bye-bye for now.